Please welcome Dr. Eddie.
How do you fix the hole in your soul so you can become whole and move on to live your best life yet? Hey everyone, I'm so thrilled that for this, another virtual episode of The Trailblazers, we have Dr. Eddie Connor. He's a stage 4 cancer survivor, an Obama awardee. He's been on the Steve Harvey Show on TD Jakes Megafest, and I'm delighted that he's able to share with us some vital tips to work on our inside while we are shut inside. Stay tuned. Dr. Eddie Connor is a best-selling author, international speaker, college professor, radio TV correspondent, and conference host of Vision Summit. He is a survivor of stage 4 cancer and empowers people to overcome obstacles. Dr. Connor is the cousin of one of the world's most influential entertainers and musicians, the late legendary Prince. As an author of 10 best-selling books, Dr. Connor has been featured on several networks, including BET, CBS, Ebony, Fox News, Jet, Lifetime, NBC, PBS, The Steve Harvey Show, and more. He was featured in the acclaimed BET documentary It Takes a Village to Raise Detroit. He also stars in the movie Lady Luck 2. Dr. Connor is the founder of the mentoring program Boys to Books, which empowers young males via literacy, leadership, and life skills enrichment. The program became the impetus for President Barack Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative. Dr. Connor is a recipient of the President Barack Obama Volunteer Service Award and the President Barack Obama Lifetime Achievement Award from the White House. He is recognized as one of the top 35 millennial influencers in America. As a sought-after communicator and motivator, Dr. Connor speaks extensively at churches, colleges, and conferences by empowering and inspiring people to maximize their purpose. He grew up in Kingston, Jamaica, and lives in Detroit, Michigan. Hi, Dr. Eddie. Welcome to another virtual episode of The Trailblazers. It is indeed a pleasure to have you joining us virtually. You're all the way, of course, in Detroit.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm absolutely honored to be with you. And just about a year ago, I was literally in Jamaica interviewing with you in person.
In person.
Now we're social distance, but we're still connected. So
exactly, we're apart, but at the same time we're connected.
Right. Apart but together.
Apart but together. I like it. Thank you so much, as I said, for joining us. So you have quite an interesting story. Only in your 30s, you've accomplished so much. And on top of all of the accomplishments, you're a stage 4 cancer survivor. So we want to start with that, because tell us about your experience with cancer and how is it that you managed to survive and to overcome?
Well, of course, once again, it's such a great opportunity and honor to be with you. I think you really are one of the premier voices, not just throughout Jamaica, but throughout the world as a young millennial. So it's wonderful to be able to share. And, I'm partial. Jamaicans, man, so me growing up.
I should tell the viewers that Dr. Eddie grew up, he spent some time in Kingston, Jamaica, and his mom is from Jamaica. So is your mom or your dad?
It's my dad.
Oh, his dad. Yeah. So he has Jamaican in his blood.
Yeah, man. The whole aspect, I literally am a living witness. Your test of testimony, your misery is ministry, your mess is a message, your stumbling block is a stepping stone. In any case, what God does, he uses your setbacks as set up for your greatest comeback. He flips your tragedy into strategy. And I was in a very, very precarious position in my life, being just a teenager and being given a death sentence, stage 4 cancer. And, you think that you're immortal at a young age. You think that, that disease will only afflict and affect somebody who's 50, 60, 70 plus years of age. But now you're fighting for your life when you're just beginning your life. And, I see as we are affected by COVID and Corona, it's a disruption. And in many cases, I was dealing with cancer, which was a disruption in my life. And more than what happens to you, it's how you respond to that which happens, which makes the biggest difference. Knowing that what you go through doesn't define you, but it literally refines your faith. It refines your focus. It refines the fire that you have on the inside to overcome it. So 2020 marks 20 years of me being cancer free. And it's a blessing to not look like what I've been through. You know, I haven't gotten a haircut now. I'm, you know, stay home, stay safe. Got more hair on my head than I probably want to right now. But I remember the days when I didn't have a follicle because I'd lost it to chemotherapy and radiation. My own father never visited me one day in the hospital. But if it had not been for the Lord on my side, but also praying mother who told me you're not going to, cancer, yes, it made you cry, but it didn't make you quit. A knockdown is not a knockout unless you stay down. So you got to get back up again, trust God, and believe that you can overcome.
That's amazing. And you just spoke now about the words of life that your mom spoke into you, you know, when you were diagnosed. How is it that that helped you to heal? And also what's, you know, you mentioned chemotherapy. Did you also have to change your diet? What other initiatives had to be put in place for you to heal from it?
Oh yeah, I definitely had to change my diet and in many cases my appetite. You know, I had to literally um, feed my faith and starve my doubts. That's one of the main things. But I also had to begin to eat right. You know, 70% of the diseases that Black people die from are preventable. So health and wealth and wellness, our health is our wealth. So you know, eating. Listen, us here in America, a lot of times doing too many fried foods. You know, I think maybe we need more of a ackee and saltfish diet, maybe.
Indeed. Some I can't what a banana.
Yeah, yeah, some plantain, and you know, I think we are so focused on processed foods that, in many cases, now when you're facing certain situations, you already have a a bad history, yeah, underlying, yeah, health issues, you know, compromised immune system. So making sure that, yes, I was putting wisdom into my spirit, into my mind, but also taking care of your body. You know, beloved, I would that you would prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers, is a scripture. So taking the time to meditate, taking the time to clear my mind, taking also the time to eat healthy. In many cases, the foods I don't want to eat, I don't always taste good, that are really the best beneficial to you and I.
Indeed. And I mean, I want to go back to a bit of what you mentioned about your dad not being there. I
Mhm.
want to touch on the fact that you have mentioned that you grew up without your father playing, playing his responsibility in your life then. And that
Right.
and that scarred you. You shared publicly that scarred you. So tell us about that. You know, a lot of young men experience the same situation as well, especially in the Black community. So,
Mhm.
how did that affect you?
You know, it really it affected me in a profound way. And you know, some things you never get over. You just have to manage. But also you have to forgive people who may not necessarily give you an apology. And to literally live, you have to forgive. To live through the dying place of what you experience. To overcome. And in many cases, I forgave my father before he ever even gave me an apology. I took some years with that, you know, in my books, as I was literally writing, I was healing. I literally put my pain on paper, and that really gave me the power to overcome. But also, as a result of it, I've been able to pay it forward by developing a mentorship program to young men called Boys to Books,
Yes.
um, which is all about literacy, leadership, and life skills enrichment. If I had not healed, I would not be able to help other young men, 13, 14, 15, 16, who find themselves in the same place where I was. Now I'm literally able to speak to a younger version of myself, and give them insight and advice, because in many cases I was in a place where I didn't have that type of mentorship and that training. And our young people will be what they see. You can't expect a man to be a man if he's not connected to one. How can you play a role if you weren't given a script? How can you become a man if you don't see one, much less interact with one? And Frederick Douglass, one of the greatest abolitionists, said, if we build strong children, we won't have to repair broken adults. We build strong boys and girls, you won't have to repair broken men and women. And I think as we begin to give of ourselves and share, not that just we've been on cloud nine, but in many cases, those same clouds, we've been affected by the storms and the rains, but we got through it. We got through the trials, the sickness, the pain, and the shame. And now I can encourage you and show you, not just tell you, but show you how to get through what you're going through.
Wow. And I'm going to touch a bit more on that mentorship program that you have, but you've also, I understand that mentors, however, despite your father not being around, despite, being scarred by that experience, you had male mentors that stepped up to the plate. How critical was that for you?
My grandfather played a role in my life, and he always told me, God rest his soul, he said, Eddie, you never have to tell anybody how good you are. If you're good at what you do, they'll tell you. So not just him telling me, but him showing me about what it takes to be great, to go beyond the crippling circumstances of life, to literally move and transition from boyhood to manhood. I mean, the simple things as tying a tie, and literally being tied to success. There was a white man who literally came into my life at that time when I had a bald head and when I was out of school in high school, and his wife was she was my homebound teacher. And he took a liking to me and took me to my first baseball game. And race relations, when you think about that, I had no real interaction with much less a white man, much less white people at that time. And to see a man take interest in me who did not even look like me, yes, was pretty compelling and changed my perspective on different ethnicities and just people in general, and it kind of brings to the fact, you may not look like me, but you can fight for me as well as with me to overcome in many cases, what I'm going through. So I think those are some bright spots, even in dark moments. And you celebrate those things. In many cases, you look back in retrospect to see how all of that helped to move you forward.
Indeed. And no doubt you couldn't have become the man that you are today without, as you mentioned, healing and being able to forgive. And I want to touch a little bit on the issue of healing, because you have written several books, as a matter of fact, about 9 books or 10 now. You have written
10, yes.
Amazing. I'm fortunate.
This is the latest one, 2020 Vision.
2020. Oh, awesome. We need to get that. Yes. I have this one in my possession.
Yeah.
And it is Wisely Inspired, Faithfully Empowered. I want to quickly touch on this part where you said that sometimes we've been stuck in our situation for so many years that we have now settled and affirmed this is how things will always be. If you want the best, then you've got to rise from your bed of brokenness, rise from the comfort of your calamity and chaos, rise from your bed of abandonment. You have to make up in your mind to say enough is enough. Rise from your bed of affliction and excuses to go after it. Go after your joy. Go after your peace. Go after your blessings. Go after your healing. And that, the entire book is such a good read. But I mentioned that part because a lot of times we are stuck in a rut. We see it all around. We have baggage from the past, whether it's through dysfunctional families or maybe somebody betrayed us, we were hurt on whatever it is. And how important is it, therefore, to not only heal physically? In your case, you healed physically from cancer, but you also had to heal mentally from the brokenness and the scar of your family relations, your father not being there, to become who you are today. So how critical is this? And you could also share some steps to how persons can actually achieve healing in their lives.
I think it's a rather powerful question. and poignant and critical that you even ask. You know, I'm reminded by the words of the great Jamaican leader Marcus Garvey, who said, "Up you mighty race, accomplish what you will." And when you think about Emancipation Park, when you think about so many great leaders in our culture, in our nation, who have risen beyond the ranks, broken through boundaries, I think it also relates to the relationship of self. And you can't, number one, you can't expect anybody to love you if you don't love yourself. You have to also know what you want, because if you don't know what you want, somebody's going to decide what you get. And generally it's going to be what you don't want. But then again, how do you know what you don't want if you don't know what you do want? Are you confused yet? Well, so is the person who doesn't know what they don't want, much less what they do want. So I think when you really get to the place of understanding who you are and coming into clarity, and you know, with this situation of what we're experiencing, where literally the whole world has been paused by a pandemic, you know, and I'm really learning, even in this situation, the relationship with self, because now you're in a place of social distancing, and the question becomes, can you really touch someone without touching someone? Think about that for a minute. That's really that's really the tenor of relationships. Can you really touch me without touching me? Because your heart has to do what your hands should not even, in many cases, go for in the first place. And when you can't go outside, now you really have to go inside. You know, you wear a mask when you go outside, but when you go back in your home, now you literally have to take off the mask. You got to literally get real with, in many cases, sometimes the ugly parts of who we are, our attitude, which determines our altitude, the mistakes that we've made, the fact that we have not forgiven other people, much less ourselves, our relationship with God, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with other people. And so how can you address what you won't confess? How can you heal from what you won't deal with? And so I wrote that book, Wife Being Wisely Inspired, Faithfully Empowered, Becoming the Right One for the Right One. In many cases, you got to first become the right one for you. You got to first become right for yourself before you become right for anybody else. And so when you rise the ashes out of that, when you understand that, you know, just because I'm locked in my home does not mean I'm locked out of my purpose. But since I'm in my house, now I've got to get my house in order. It's more than about shuffling through shoes and shirts and skirts. Now it's through shuffling through the shells of your soul. Now it's decluttering your mind to see that I'm not just getting the roof, whatever's under the roof in my house in order, but actually me. Yes. Because now I'm preparing myself for the ultimate purpose partner, because I'm walking in my purpose as well.
Indeed, indeed. And I mean, persons may ask, though, how do you do that? Because they want to heal. Because the truth is to live your best life. Talk about living our best lives in our career and to achieve all the things we want to achieve in life and to accomplish all of those things. But if they have this baggage and the pain from the past, what are the steps? At least tell us 3 steps that they can take or we can take to heal, so that we can move forward confidently and free from all the baggage and all the pain.
One is, I would say, and there's a replete amount of many of those steps, tools, and tips in the book, and I encourage people to get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Audible. It's available as an audiobook, ebook, hard copy. I would say one thing specifically is, or a few things specifically, is being a person who is conscientious in that regard, to literally address what you have been experiencing. Because oftentimes distractions are detours to our destiny. And until I literally focus on my focus, until I really get to the root of the issue of what I've been experiencing, then there's no healing. And now there's no distraction anymore. There's no mall, that's shut down. There's no movie theater, that's shut down. The restaurant where you get your favorite meal, it's shut down. Now I'm literally shut in, but I'm not shut out of my purpose. Now I literally have to get quiet enough so that I can hear the voice that's within me. I got to mute the noise around me so I can hear the voice within me. You've watched enough Netflix now. Now I've got to literally get tuned into what it is that I've been experiencing. So one is to literally address it, to literally look it right in his face. This is the issue. I'm experiencing pain because of what happened, but I can't live in pain because I'm going to make a decision to overcome what has happened. Yes. Then you also have to decipher between what is distracting me from my destiny. Based upon the pain of what I've experienced, I can't allow that to stymie and stop me and stifle me from getting to the next level. Thirdly, I've got to recognize that the love that is in me is greater than the hurt that I've experienced. I've got to love myself through what I've gone through. And the way that you begin to love yourself is you begin to forgive yourself. You forgive yourself for allowing people to mistreat you because you devalued yourself. And that love now raises the level of your value. A lot of times we always say, well, knowing your value is only for women. No, knowing your value is also for us as brothers, as men too. We've got to know our value. We got to know our worth. We'll treat people based upon how we even have a relationship with ourselves. Me mistreating you, you mistreating somebody else is indicative of the fact of how you have seen your own life, in many cases, how you castigate it. So making a distinction between a distraction, your destiny, loving yourself, but also looking at the ugly situation, taking off the mask to heal.
Speaker, Dr. Eddie Connor Jr.
But guess what? In spite of it, there was still room left for them. And even if the room is packed, God is going to use your gift to take you to the next level. But oftentimes, those who are gifted are the most afflicted. Listen, what you went through, what you went through wasn't punishment, it was preparation, baby.
You no doubt have a sense of purpose about you. When we hear you speak, you have that sense of conviction. And person looking on might be, where does he get his drive from? Where does he get his focus and his motivation from? So that's what I'm asking you. Where do you get all of this from?
You know, everything I'm not may be everything I am. Everything people told me I couldn't do became the negative steam to power my dream. It literally became the fuel for me to move forward. And I think it's about really embracing challenges. I think it's about asking tough questions. I think it's really about stretching the tenacity of the temperature of your soul, and also asking the question, what is it that I was created to do? You know, you're too expensive to be a cheap carbon copy of somebody else. And I think one thing that everything that you go through, you're not always given the cards. You're not always dealt the cards that you wanted to play, but you've got to play the hand the right way and still say, you know what, I'm going to see something positive out of this situation. Everything that I've been through is an opportunity for me to help somebody to get through what they've been through. You know, I really believe somebody can't be who they are until we make a decision to become who we're supposed to be. And the most dangerous place in life is not literally walking on water. It's staying in the boat. It's staying in the boat of unbelief. It's staying in the boat of fear. It's staying in the boat of comfort. You got to literally get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable with being comfortable. You got to challenge yourself to try new things. Yes, if you fail, that's fine. The reason I succeed is because I failed. Every failure is a step toward greater success. And I can't get down on myself. I've got to literally encourage myself and know that there's going to be a bright opportunity, even in a dark moment.
Indeed. And my final question to you, as you mentioned, opportunity in a dark moment, because many people look on and think that the world is facing a dark moment now in the face of this pandemic. So, what's your advice to our viewers and others who are tuning in and they want to know how is it that they thrive, how is it that they come out of this and become a better person, become we like to say it's the new normal then. So how is it that we are not stuck, we're not depressed, we become better persons and we improve upon ourselves beyond the COVID?
Such a great question. I really believe we are in a new normal. I don't think we're going back to what we were. The world is being reshaped even as we speak, and it's a fluid situation. We're not going back to normal. And I think the paradigm shift is now we either have to create or we are going to stay in a crisis. And I think one thing right now is that we have to begin to engender and imbibe three things. One is that we got to put our mind in a place of peace. Peace over panic, even in a pandemic. We got to believe and know that God is protecting us. And then since we have peace, peace that passes all understanding, I'll keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on me. His protection, no weapon formed against you is going to prosper. But then also provision. If I've got peace, I've got protection. I know he's going to provide my need according to his riches and glory. But also I've got to also understand and challenge myself. Can I be creative in a crisis? Can I be creative in a cave? The recession that America had in 2008, out of that recession came about what we use now, Instagram and Twitter. Zoom came out of that, which we're on even right now. They said by the year of 2018, and we're in 2020 now, 35% of new millionaires will work from home. That number is going to balloon now. Why is it so interesting? If you think in scripture, 2 Kings chapter 4, Elisha is talking to a widow woman. She'd lost her house. She had lost the provisionary of her house, rather. Her husband. She's a widow woman. He asked her this. He doesn't say what's in your bank account, what's in your chariot, what's in your storage unit. He asked her, what's in your house? And I think we've got to ask ourselves that question. What is it that's in my house? Since I can't go outside now, I now have to go inside more than ever before. You've been saying you want to write the book. You can do it in your house. You've been saying you want to launch into business. Develop the business plan in your house. And I believe that your contact is going to become your contract. Ideas can become a place of income, but it's taking place right in the comfort of your home. And so I think you got to be resilient. You got to be consistent. You got to challenge yourself to be creative in a cave, creative in a crisis, and know that you've got peace, you've got protection, and you've got provision. Don't hit the panic button. You've got power, and it's now time to tap into it.
Wow, amazing. And that's a perfect note to end this interview. I can continue on. We have to continue. But thank you so much, Dr. Eddie.
Absolutely.
It was indeed a pleasure, and you just continue to be a trailblazer, continue to impact lives, continue to transform lives, and continue to transform communities and the world at large. We appreciate you joining us.
Oh, I appreciate you. Continue to be a voice of victory and to really cause our nation to rise. Thank you so much for telling our story.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hi, my name is Tamara McHale. I'm a television producer, presenter, and a writer. I feed off the energy of hearing the successful stories of others who have made it and hearing their tips and hearing their journey to success. I believe it's something that we too can emulate, and that's the reason for the Trailblazers. Honestly, I'm going to tell everyone to tune into the Trailblazers. I mean, everybody is at a different part of their journey, a different part of their life, and they are always looking to move up. You're getting a blueprint from them. You're getting the step-by-step process in terms of what you need to do so that you too can become a trailblazer.